All right, so the first thing we're going to do in making our bone broth is we're going to collect all of our ingredients. So we have our whole chicken right here in our crock pot. And then we've got our water, our celery, our lemons, our peeled garlic, which is my favorite. We've got the carrots, the onions, the pepper, and the salt. The first step with your chicken is make sure that you remove this part right here. If you've never cooked a chicken before, now you know you have to take that off. The second step with chicken is it may or may not have giblets inside. Make sure that you remove those from the inside or you will be cooking your chicken with a plastic bag inside. So take it out so that you can throw those away. And it doesn't matter which ingredients you start with. So today I am going to start with my onion. You don't even have to peel it. All you have to do is cut it in half. You don't have to chop it or anything like that. Super easy. Next, I'm going to add my carrots. So all I do is I wash them really well. I break them in half. Like I said, super easy recipe. Don't overthink it. You're not actually eating it. So just make sure you give them a good wash before you put them in there. You can use anywhere from 2 to 4 carrots, depending on how strong of a flavor you prefer. Next is our garlic. I love this peeled garlic. It's so easy. There are a couple other options that you might see at the grocery store. This is a garlic paste. That does work as well. And then we also have our minced, which we use a lot of garlic, so we buy it in bulk at Costco. You can use that as well. My preference is definitely this peeled garlic, which you can find in the refrigerated section at the grocery store, or fresh garlic. The actual head of garlic, you could just slice that in half like we did our onion and throw the entire thing in there, peels and all, because again, you're not eating it. You're going to drain it all off. And if you're wondering how much garlic, I use a lot. We love garlic flavor. It's great for your immune system and it is anti-inflammatory as well. Then we're going to put our celery in. Again, I told you, super easy recipe. We are just going to cut this in half. Don't forget, you can make more broth with this, or you can choose to juice the rest of it as well. And now you were all wondering about, what do I do with that lemon? I love lemon flavor. It's going to brighten your dish no matter what you use it in. You can use it straight up. You can cut it in half. You could zest it or just juice it. I cut mine in half and then I just throw them right in there. Then we're going to add our water. This is my Pyrex filled to 4 cups with just filtered tap water. I'm going to go ahead, pour that right over the top. Depending on the size of your crock pot, if you're using a smaller one, you might not use all that water. You just want most of the vegetables and most of the chicken covered. You can kind of peek underneath here a little bit and see it's almost to the top of my chicken. Then we're going to put in our crushed black pepper. You can do however much you want. And if you don't like pepper, you can absolutely leave that out. If you love pepper, you can put in more for flavor. Next, we have our pink Himalayan sea salt. This is going to restore electrolytes that you were missing while fasting. You have to make sure you drink lots of water, and then we're just going to add as much salt as you want. When you're done making your broth and it comes out, you can adjust the salt level by adding more if you choose to do so at that time. Now we have our bone broth. All the ingredients are inside of here. If you'd like to add ginger, you can certainly do that as well. This is how I typically like to make it. And then what you're going to do is set it on low for 6 to 8 hours. I tend to do 8 hours because it does break down the collagen in the bones more. So you're going to get more of that legitimate bone broth that you're looking for with the added protein in it. After your 8 hours is up, I put a big bowl in my sink. I put a colander over the top of that bowl, and then I just dump out all the contents so that my colander is going to catch all of the ingredients and extra stuff that I don't want in my broth. What you have is straight up bone broth. From there, you can consume it as is, or you can put it in the fridge and have 1 cup portions throughout your day. I keep my bone broth for up to 2 days. After that, I do discard it. Just a reminder, after you strain the broth, you could take that chicken off of the bone. And what I like to do is dice it up, put a little bit of the broth in it, and then freeze it. And that makes a great light meal once you're past the initial 7 days of fasting. During the first 7 days of fasting, when you're just sticking to liquids, fruit juice, black coffee, and water, and bone broth, I like to have my bone broth as my quote-unquote dinner. I try to wait as long as I can in the morning to have my first juice. Then I typically have a second juice after noon sometime. And then I like to have my broth as my dinner later in the day. So those are just some tips from me.